Walking the quiet, overgrown paths of Poston, South Carolina today, you'd never guess you're standing on the footprint of a roaring industrial junction. The man who put this town on the map was Andrew Poston. He was a Confederate veteran who lost his right hand in the Civil War, and a prominent landowner who was determined to modernize his family's corner of the world. His attempt to pull this town into the industrial age highlights a classic American tension. What happens when deep-rooted farming traditions collide with the deafening demands of progress? To understand that collision, we have to look back. The Poston family arrived in Pennsylvania from England in the early 1700s. By 1766, they traveled south along the Great Philadelphia Wagon Road, eventually settling in the river bottom lands of South Carolina's Marion District. For generations, the settlement here was known as Ellison. It was a strict farming community where daily life revolved entirely around the rich soil and manual labor in the cotton fields. Ellison functioned as a modest river port. Farmers loaded their crops and timber onto steamboats navigating the Great Pee Dee River, shipping them out to broader markets. But river transport is hostage to nature. Seasonal droughts and unpredictable flooding meant the town's growth had a hard ceiling. As long as Ellison relied on the water, they were limited by geography. By the late 19th century, Andrew Poston recognized that if the community was going to survive, they had to abandon the river and connect to the expanding national railroad network. Andrew Poston recognized the railroad's economic potential. Using personal equity, he brokered a land use agreement to ensure new tracks intersected with Ellison. Because of his crucial donation, corporate executives designated the new siding as Poston, erasing Ellison from the maps. One man's foresight and his willingness to leverage his own land rewrote the future of the entire community. The payoff arrived in 1914. Multiple local railways merged into the massive Seaboard Airline System, placing Poston directly at the center of a major transportation junction. Continuous rail traffic flooded the area. Retail businesses opened around the depot, and local timber and freight industries rapidly scaled up to meet new demand. For a brief window, this quiet farming settlement operated as a high-speed node in the national supply chain. But that growth attracted corporate ambitions the locals weren't ready for. The railroad companies proposed building a massive repair shop directly within the town to service the busy junction. These records show citizens mounted an organized resistance, fearing industrial noise and transient workers would alter their lives. They blocked the repair shop, halting corporate investments. The situation turned fatal when Andrew Poston died in 1916, removing their only diplomat. The community eagerly accepted the wealth of the railroad, but they refused the industrial sacrifices required to sustain it. By rejecting the repair facility, they inadvertently engineered their own economic collapse. Without a corporate footprint or a local champion, the decline was swift. The tracks were eventually removed, businesses shuttered, and the town of Poston was absorbed into the larger Florence County. Generations later, Dr. Harold Chalmers Poston, Jr., a ninth-generation descendant, inherited his family's connection to this land. But he recognized a completely different kind of value in the local landscape. Instead of industrial development, Dr. Poston established the Poston Preserve, a 300-acre private wildlife sanctuary dedicated to protecting the region's native ecosystems. This move represents a final strategic pivot for the family. They shifted away from the pursuit of industrial infrastructure and toward ecological stewardship. The loud, smoky ambitions of the old railroad depot have long since faded, replaced by the quiet endurance of a nature preserve. Ultimately, the Poston legacy isn't forged in steel. It is measured by an unbroken 250-year commitment to this specific piece of South Carolina, a family that chose to protect the land after the industrial boom fell through.